As the conflict escalates, the role of the press is also under scrutiny, especially the Western press. Israel is slamming their role. They've named 4 prominent platforms: CNN, the New York Times, Reuters, and AP, Associated Press. The Israeli government has some tough questions for them. Questions like, are their reporters embedded with Hamas? Did they have prior knowledge about the attacks on Israel? Were they tipped off by Hamas terrorists? And were they cooperating with them? Now, these are very serious questions and charges. And they're being raised on the basis of some photos. Photos released by media Watchdog in Israel. These are from the October 7 attacks. Take a look at what they have. The first picture is from Associated Press or AP. It is a shot of a burning tank. A tank belonging to the Israeli forces. And where was the picture taken? Near the Israel-Gaza border, inside Israeli territory. Now remember, this is an attack that took everyone by surprise. Hamas terrorists broke the border fence, they went inside Israel, and they attacked an Israeli tank. The IDF was caught completely off guard, their soldiers were nowhere to be seen, it took them hours to get there. But guess who was present at the site? The Associated Press. In fact, they were so close that they managed to get a close-up, almost as if they were with the terrorists when they infiltrated Israel. And there are more such photos, like this one, again from the AP. The people you see are said to be infiltrators, trying to get inside Kibbutz Kfar Aza, the site of one of the worst attacks by Hamas. Israel says the terrorists carried out a massacre at this kibbutz, killing at least 1,000 people. This could be the moment when they entered the kibbutz. Again, the Associated Press caught it on camera. One name is doing the rounds, Hassan Eslaiya. Reports say he's a freelance journalist from Gaza. He was working with CNN and AP. When Hamas attacked Israel, he happened to be at the scene. Now, this is an unverified video. Apparently, Hassan Eslaiya went live when the attacks were happening.
تم خطف جميع من كان داخل هذه الدبابة، جميع من داخل هذه الدبابة تم خطفهم قبل قليل من قبل عناصر كتائب القسام في هذا المكان كما شاهدنا بالعين المجردة.
And he took more photos, like of these Hamas terrorists. They were near the gate of Kibbutz Kfar Aza. Also this picture of a burning home inside the kibbutz. There is another photo of the same man. It's being shared on social media. This is not from the 7th of October. This is an image, the image I'm talking about. It says, this is Eslaiya with a prominent Hamas leader. So here's the question being asked. When Hamas attacked Israel, did they take journalists along with them? And I use the plural, journalists, because Eslaiya was not alone. There were other journalists like him at the scene. We have some names, in fact. Yusuf Masood, Ali Mahmoud, and Hatem Ali. They took these photos, allegedly of Hamas terrorists kidnapping Israelis. In one picture, they're transporting the body of an Israeli. How did these so-called journalists get there at the right time, and that too almost every time? This cannot be just reporters' luck. There's a pattern here. And for a moment, even if you ignore the timing, look at what they captured. These so-called journalists witnessed mass attacks and kidnappings, killings. They amplified a terror strike. Does this amount to participation in the attack? They took these pictures, and their associates in the Western media carried these pictures. No questions asked, apparently no objections raised. And here's something I'll tell you about wars and conflicts. It's not easy to get inputs, photos, videos, updates. You risk a lot to get them. You rely on all kinds of sources. But you try to operate within ethical boundaries. In this case, those boundaries may have been breached. Israel has officially taken it up. Their communication minister has reached out to all 4 news outlets, CNN, Reuters, the New York Times, and AP. Let me quote from what he said. The gravity of the situation demands a swift and thorough response. It is now a time for individuals, journalists, institutions, unions, and organizations around the world to make a clear choice. We must decide whether we stand on the side of life and good or on the side of depraved terrorism, inhumanity, and evil. That's what the Israeli minister said. AP and Reuters have issued statements since. They say they had no prior knowledge of the Hamas attacks. What about the New York Times and CNN? As of this evening, they had not commented. Now, whichever way this turns out, it raises an important question. At what point do you graduate from being a chronicler to a collaborator? When you see a terrorist attack being launched, do you alert authorities or click pictures? The answer should be obvious, but given what I've just told you, perhaps we should spell it out. The massacre of innocent civilians should be a red flag. In such a case, you should try to be a human first and then a journalist.